Alright guys, so this lesson is possibly the most important of the whole course, and unfortunately it's a section that is missing from just about every other dropshipping course I've seen. And what I'm talking about here is a sales primer. So how to sell, just the basics, and then in the next lesson we will get on to the specific applications as they apply to dropshipping. One thing I've seen, because I'm now working one-on-one with people, I'm helping people, answering questions on Twitter, YouTube, whatever, the guys who come to me who already have experience with selling in any form, those are the guys that succeed with dropshipping really quickly. So if you want to set yourself up for success with dropshipping or any other type of online business, you will have to learn how to sell. So sales is a huge topic. I constantly study it. This is just a little primer. You will have to read some other books, but this should be enough to get you started and to teach you enough so that you can start selling from your dropshipping store. Why you need to learn sales. So you might be thinking, I just want to learn to dropship. I don't want to learn to sell, but that's not possible. Dropshipping is all about selling. Without good sales skills, you have no chance of succeeding. At least not long term. You might have a few successes here and there, but long term, the guys who can sell will destroy you. Dropshipping uses paid ads. Paid ads is a competition between different people. If I can buy traffic, someone else can buy the same traffic for the same price. If they're better at selling, then they will sell more, meaning they can then bid up and they can pay more than I can, which means in the long run I'm going to go out of business if I'm not good at selling. Good news, of course, is that anyone can become decent at online sales. Yes, it is a skill that some people have naturally more so than others, but anyone can become decent at it. And dropshipping, it's not an area that needs elite sales skills. It's not selling houses or really high ticket items. You just need a basic understanding of sales and you'll be fine. How do you get that? Well, of course, I'm trying to teach you as much as I can in this course. I'm going to talk about it more in the future on YouTube, whatever. But you're not going to get past reading a few books. I will have my recommendations later on in this video. I can tell you right away, copywriting is a good thing to study. That's basically sales in the written form. That's the part that's going to apply most to dropshipping. You can also take courses if this is something that you really want to learn. I recommend you don't do that until you have the basics of dropshipping down and you're already making money. If at that point you want to invest in a sales course to really take that to the next level, then by all means go for that. The other thing you can and should do is analyze successful stores, and then of course you need to put it into practice. So what do I mean by analyzing successful stores? You're doing niche research, you're looking at your competition, and if like I recommend you use intelligence, you're going to see the best selling products. Go look at those product pages. Look at how they use images, how they use badges, how they use their actual text. Just look at how they sell, because that's what you can learn from your competition. Emulating their logo or their color scheme, all of that doesn't really matter, but look at how they sell, because that is one of the main reasons that they are successful. And if you can learn from them and apply it to your own store, you will be successful. Practice, of course, practice is always important with anything, but it's especially important with copywriting, because while you can read copywriting books to learn the basics, you won't actually internalize it until you practice. Furthermore, copywriting is like any other writing. It requires some sort of flow, and you can't learn that from a book, in my opinion. Your texts, when you just get started with copywriting, they'll be choppy, they won't read well, they won't be fluid, they won't be enjoyable to read, and with practice that gets better. So definitely work on this, think about it, but don't get caught up on it. You will get better over time. Again, I can't stress this point enough. You need to improve your sales skills. You can't jump over this, even though some of you will undoubtedly try to do that. I suspect you will fail, or at least not reach your full potential. The great thing about sales skills, of course, then, is that they transfer over every other business, just about. So take myself as an example. I didn't start with dropshipping. I started with niche sites. I started with affiliate marketing. That's why I learned to sell. So I then took those skills, moved over to dropshipping, and became successful relatively quickly. It took me 2 stores that failed, okay, but then I became successful. And compared to other people, and you'll see this a lot on YouTube, people saying dropshipping is a scam, XYZ course is a scam. I believe that the people who think dropshipping or a certain course is a scam, I think those guys didn't bother to learn sales and they just suck at it. And a course will work for one people, that's where the success stories come from. And the success stories are likely to come from people who either have a sales background or a natural talent for it. And then people saying it's a scam are those who are too lazy to learn sales or just didn't know any better. So learn sales. Honestly, it's the best investment in yourself that you can make. It will benefit you so much more than anything else you can spend your time on. Here I somewhat jokingly wrote, it's a better investment than buying Bitcoin, even if you'd got in back in 2010. And I really do believe that, actually. So my primer on sales is divided into 4 rough categories. First thing you need to know is the real reasons people buy. And it's not the same as what you might think. People say they buy for one reason, but they actually buy for another. Here's the thing. People justify their purchases with logical reasons. But those logical reasons that they say resulted in them buying are not what actually prompted them to buy in the first place. And you will need to understand that and understand your customers in order to succeed with online sales. You'll also have to find out the best way to sell your specific product. So there's no one formula that works for everyone. Niches are going to be different, products are going to be different. Again, competitor research is very helpful for this. You will start to see trends in your niche if you look at a lot of stores where for some reason everyone in this niche does X, Y, and Z in their copy, while in other niches they don't do it. That's just sort of something that you will discover over time. I'm going to teach you a few emotional sales triggers that are very useful for Shopify. So there's the book Triggers by Joseph Sugarman, very good book, but I think he lists 30 triggers and not all of them apply to Shopify or aren't easy to apply to Shopify, but a few are, and those are the ones that, funny enough, are used on a lot of Shopify stores, and rightly so. They are very useful. We will cover that later in this lesson. Like I said, I can't teach you everything about sales. It's far too big a topic, and honestly, I'm not the best expert at it. Perhaps in 10 years I will be, but right now I can't claim to know everything. So I'm going to recommend a few resources from some great coaches, teachers that can help you with that. So if you want to become good at selling, you have to understand why people actually buy your product. So there are 2 fundamental reasons why they buy. The first one is to remove pain, and the second is to gain pleasure. In general, you can say that removing a pain point is more powerful, but for you to really understand that, we're going to have to cover a few examples, which we're going to do right now. So, examples of products that remove pain. The obvious example are things like knee support wraps. This is a literal pain in your body that the product removes, but those are actually not the most useful types of pain removal. Far more useful are situations where you can remove fear, and fear is painful. It hurts even though it's not a physical pain, it's emotional pain, and if you can remove that and convince people that your product removes this fear and this pain, then you're on the right track to selling success. So an example of products that remove fear is, for example, insurance. The fear of damage risk, you can become insured against this, and that reduces this fear that people have. The other example would be the Bitcoin investment fund I've picked. That's the fear of missing out on a great opportunity and therefore feeling stupid. That might not seem like a real pain to you, but if you understand people and how they think, then you will know that fear is a very real pain. And if your product can remove that pain, then you're going to see success. On the other hand, we have products that produce pleasure. First example, sweet food. You eat it and you get instant pleasure. I think everyone knows how that works. The more complex examples are things like exclusive memberships. This offers a sense of belonging to a group and being part of the in crowd, being one of the cool kids, so to speak. Again, that's a pleasurable feeling. Everyone wants to be one of the cool ones. It's just the way we are formed as human beings. Another way to promote this is sort of unique clothing, brand clothing that promotes the idea that you're special, and it gets you attention and validation from your friends or people you don't know. Attention and validation are very powerful forms of pleasure as well that you can build into your sales message. Here's the important point. As a salesman, you can choose how you sell your product. So products can be sold in different ways. So you can present your product in a way that it removes pain or in a way that it produces pleasure. The choice is yours. So that's really your job as a salesman, deciding how to sell it, what way to present your product. So the Bitcoin example. You can promote it as removing the fear of missing out, or you can focus on the pleasure of being able to buy whatever you want, or being able to buy a cool car, being able to stick it to your boss. You can focus on the benefit they get, the pleasure, or you can focus on the fear of missing out. Rarely will you see ads combining the two, but you'll see ads selling one or the other. That is because the salesman has made the decision to focus on fear or to focus on the pleasure. Second example, the food example. You can focus on removing the pain of hunger or getting the pleasure that comes from eating the food. The choice as a salesman is yours. Like I said, sales is all about presenting the product in the best possible way to your target audience. Of course, you need to understand what drives people to buy in general, and you also need to understand the emotional appeal of your product and how that relates to the mindset in your specific niche. So that's another example of why it's very important, or why I recommend doing niche stores, because you get to know your customers, you get to know how they tick and which emotional triggers work best in your niche. Once you have the general direction you want to take your ad in, so whether you want to focus on removing pain or gaining pleasure, you'll then want to decide on the specific points to focus on. And here there is an important distinction to make. A lot of people, when they get into sales, they make a very typical mistake. They focus on the features of the product instead of the benefits of the product. Features they're logical, they are facts, they are not persuasive sales arguments. Benefits, on the other hand, they affect the emotions of the customer, and therefore they are very persuasive for making sales. I'm going to give some examples later on, but you need to understand that you need to focus your sales message on the benefits, but you also need features, because the way the buying process works is the benefits convince the customer to buy, but the features are then the way he justifies it. So the customer doesn't want to show the world that he made an emotional decision, and he also doesn't want to show himself that he made an emotional decision. You lure him in, you get him to buy with emotional arguments, and then he will, in his head, justify with logical reasoning, and you need to give him features and reasons, logical reasons why why he should buy the product so that he can justify the purchase to himself. Let's take a look at this product, the glow-in-the-dark dog collar. So the benefits, just a few of the benefits I came up with off the top of my head are: it keeps your dog safe from harm, and you can rest assured knowing your dog will be seen in the dark. The features, on the other hand, would be it's made of durable plastic, the size of it, the length is adjustable, etc. So you want to focus your sales message, which means your ad and also your product description, on the benefits. So focus on how this product will keep the dog safe and how much calmer the customer will feel knowing that nothing can happen to the dog. That should be the main focal point of your sales message. But then you also want to back it up with a few features, mention the material it's made of, the length. You always want to have sizing info just because people can get confused if they don't see that. And you also want to say it's adjustable length, whatever, so that it'll fit every dog, etc. You need both. Most people focus too much on the features, but then occasionally when I or other experts in copywriting tell people to focus on the benefits, they swing the other way and just have benefits with no features. Both are not the optimal approach. You need a combination of benefits and features. What do you do if you can't figure out the emotional benefits of your product? Well, first of all, I'd say you have to have a better understanding of the product, the reasons why people would buy it in the first place. But there is a useful trick, and what you do is you take the features and turn them into benefits. Bottom here we have examples of how to do that. I told you before that a feature would be that this collar has adjustable length. The way you turn that into benefit is you say, this dog collar has an adjustable length, which is great for you because it means it fits any dog. No matter the size of your dog, this product will work for you. Another example, you say, this collar is made of highest quality plastic or steel or whatever. You can then turn that into a benefit by saying it's very durable, it will last you a really long time. You can even pass this on to your grandchildren so that they can keep their dog safe as well, and you should consider this an investment in your dog's well-being and not just a quick one-off purchase that will break. So this is just completely off the top of my head here, trying to show you how you would structure a sales message that focuses on the benefits while also mentioning the features briefly. How the buying decision is made. So your product fundamentally has to be more valuable than the price you charge for it. Good salesmen, what they do is they increase the perceived value of a product, and if you want to be successful with online sales in any form, whether Shopify or anything else, you have to increase the perceived value of what you're offering compared to the price. So remember, all of this is subconscious. The sales tips I'm giving you, anything you learn about copywriting, it does work, but the customer doesn't know that it's happening in most cases, unless he has experience with selling or perhaps he's taken this course, then he'll know. But in general, the customer doesn't know that he thinks this way, but it still works. So that's very important to remember. If people tell you that, oh, that's just a stupid gimmick, that doesn't work, chances are they're wrong and it does work. Since some of you are probably still skeptical of how effective these sales strategies are, I'm going to give you a little example when, just off the top of my head, I'm going to pitch this product to you in two different ways. And while this example is probably going to be extreme, I promise you there are people that launch new Shopify stores with the product descriptions that are as bad as this pitch I'm about to give you right now. So tell me, would you buy this product with the first pitch? And of course, if you have a dog, if not, this probably doesn't apply to you, but consider whether you'd be more likely to buy using the first pitch or if I used the second pitch. So here goes. It's our newest product. It's the dog collar. It's currently $10 off and it looks really great. Your dog will love this. Buy now. Perhaps you think the second pitch that you're going to hear right now might be a little more convincing. Do you ever worry about how safe your dog is in the dark? Well, with our newly released safety collar, you don't have to worry ever again, and you can live stress-free knowing that your dog can be seen by onrushing traffic in the dark. Here's how it works. Our collar, it's very comfortable to wear for the dog, and it actually has an adjustable length, so it will fit any dog and keep them safe in the dark. The way it works is it's got LED filling and it glows in the dark, looks really good, very cute, but more importantly, everyone can see your dog. So if there's cars coming and he's crossing the road, they will see him from a distance. They'll be able to stop, slow down, and avoid rushing into your dog. I'd hate to see you lose your dog just because you bought the wrong dog collar, which is why we're currently offering 50% off on this dog collar just for the next 3 days until Christmas. So if you really love your dog and would hate to see something happen to him, buy this today and benefit from our special deal. Again, I did not prepare this sales pitch, this is just off the top of my head. You decide whether sales works. Would you be more likely to buy it if you have a dog if I use the first or the second pitch? Hopefully this little example shows you that sales does work. Of course, you'll never be able to convince everyone to buy, but if out of 100 people you get 5 instead of 1 person to buy, then that is a huge success, and that makes a difference between a profitable dropshipping store and one that loses money. You need to know what your unique selling point is. This is what I mean by knowing your product. Lots of other stores are selling identical products. You have to know what makes your brand and your store special, because customers know that they can go on Amazon or they can go on Wish or they can go on AliExpress and buy similar if not identical products. In most cases you will be more expensive than these bigger stores, and in the case of Amazon you'll also have slower shipping and you're not a trusted brand. So something about you, your brand or your presentation of the product needs to be better. The way I recommend you do this, and the way I do this for myself, is by focusing on sales. You're only going to sell a few products, so you can really focus on promoting them and making the best possible sales argument for every one of your products. Amazon can't do this. They don't have the time to focus on the sales message for every single product, and if you're competing with AliExpress or Wish.com, they suck at selling. They don't do a good job at all. They just focus completely on features. So this is where you can provide value and beat these bigger stores. How to beat Amazon? Don't try to compete with them on price, and forget about competing with them on customer service or shipping or whatever. The way you beat the big stores is just by having better marketing and better branding for your store, and also just a better sales message. That's what makes a big difference when you're starting out. Like I said, you're only selling a few items actively, so you might have 10 items on your store, but you're only sending traffic to 2 or 3 of them, and you better make sure those products have great product descriptions that fit the ads, so that you use what you learn in this course in terms of sales skills and apply it to selling your products better than anyone else. You also have to remember the type of customer you're trying to attract. So what you want are impulse buyers. You don't want people who are going to compare prices on your site with Amazon, with local stores, and ask 5 friends where they're going to buy. You want people who see something they like and they buy it because they like it, with really little second thought. That's the type of customer you're going to get and who you want to attract. The way you do this, of course, is you focus on products that are bought impulsively. That usually means lower ticket items and products that have a strong emotional appeal, like this dog collar that we talked about earlier. You also have to always keep this in mind when you're creating your ads. You want to create an ad that captures people's attention, immediately makes them want what you're selling, and you then want to use your sales message to get rid of any doubts they have and get them to buy right away before they look anywhere else, or more likely just forget about it when they procrastinate. Let's just go through the typical sales process, how it works, how your brand is exposed to customers, or rather how customers are exposed to your brand. So the first step is to capture people's attention. That's what you do with your ad. Then you increase the perceived value of your product using the sales tips I'm giving you and just in general writing a really good product description. In there, you also want to handle any objections they might have, and then you have to have a strong call to action telling people exactly what they need to do next, which in our case is buy the product. When I talk about handling objections, typical objections are going to be, why is this 50% off? Why is it free? Sizing info. Will this work with my problem? Will this work for me? Those are the kind of objections you have to handle. A very important note is consistency. Consistency is crucial, because if anything is different between the ad and then your product page and then the checkout page, then that throws people off. And even if it's just a small detail, like say the price in your ad is $9.99 and then on your product page it's $9.95, even though it's actually 4 cents cheaper, it throws people off because there's something wrong, and people notice when things are not consistent. You don't want to throw up any red flags. That's very important when you're selling online, especially because nobody knows you and you're not a trusted company. Next, I'm going to talk about a few sales triggers rather that are very powerful for Shopify. These are just a few of many sales triggers, but I think these are the most used, and for good reason, because they really do fit well with what we are selling on Shopify. So the first one is social proof. Nobody wants to be the only person buying a product. You want to show other happy customers and just show that many other people have also bought this. So obviously it's a good decision to buy. Next to scarcity and urgency, these two work well together. Scarcity is saying that there's only a certain number of products left and we're going to run out soon. When we run out, there are no more. So buy now before we run out. Urgency is saying there's a limited time left. A good way to use this is if you're doing a special offer, as you should be when you're sending traffic to an offer. You say offer valid until Christmas, offer valid today only, and then you have a countdown timer or whatever. These scarcity and urgency, they both work by getting people to act right now, by stopping people's urge to procrastinate, because the truth is when you procrastinate on a purchase, and I'm sure you've experienced this yourself, you often forget about it and don't ever go back to buy it, especially when we're talking about little items like this that are impulse purchases. You want to have scarcity or urgency on your pages. Another really useful trigger is novelty. This is how you catch people's attention. If there's something new about your product, something that they haven't seen before, this automatically draws people in and grabs their attention when they're scrolling through their social feeds. Another very useful one is specificity. If you're going to say there's only a specific number of products left, you want to have an actual number. Don't just say limited quality or limited time offer. Say 18 items left. Say valid for 24 hours only. You want to be as specific as you can be instead of using vague terminology. The final one is trust, and there's a few ways you can add trust to your store. One thing I always do is have credit card badges in the bottom of the page, PayPal logo, all of that kind of stuff. People trust those companies, they know the logos, and it makes you seem more respectable and trustworthy. Next thing you want to have is reviews. We've talked about it before with Ali reviews. It's how you import the reviews from AliExpress and display them on your store. Another good way to add trust is by building up your social media pages. If people see that you have 5,000 followers on Instagram and you've been posting for 3 years, then you are an established brand. Of course, you won't have this when starting out, but this is one of the reasons why you should build it up over time just to add trust. It's important to note these are the options you have. Of course, just a selection, there's far more, and you don't need all of these. Just pick 1 to 2 to 3 that you think work well with your offer and your product, and work with those triggers. You're going to use the sales triggers both in your ads and also on your product pages. Like I said, consistency is key, so I recommend you use the same triggers in both your ad and product description. So if you start your ad by saying limited time only, get this product today or in the next 6 hours, then keep that same scarcity trigger, urgency trigger rather, in your product description as well. Don't then suddenly move to a completely different sales message. Of course, a good product page isn't just created by combining different sales triggers. You also have to handle people's objections and then get them to act the way you want. So before you tell them to buy, you have to handle a few common objections. People have doubts in their minds before buying. Your job as a salesman is to preemptively answer any of these common objections that they might have so that they can buy with a clear conscience. Now, since we're selling mostly low ticket items and it's not a huge expense to people, minimal work is needed here. Main thing you have to do is explain why there is a large discount or a free plus shipping offer. So common justifications I'm going to use are any holiday. So if Christmas is coming up, if Valentine's Day is coming up, 4th of July, whatever, say that this product is 50% off because of our Christmas sale. If there are no holidays, which is the most obvious and possibly the most effective justification, then you're going to want to use one of the following ones or something you come up with yourself. So you can say it's a clearance sale, you can say you've got new items coming soon and you're just selling off the last of the old collection. You can say you've only got a certain number of products left and you need to make space for new inventory. It's very effective. You can also talk about things that are specific to your store. So perhaps it's your store's anniversary, you've been selling for 1 year, 6 months, 2 years, whatever. Or you can say you're just launching this store, which is why it is 80% off. You get the picture. These are all ones I've come up with myself. Some of them are common, some of them are not. You'll want to come up with your own ideas, test them and see how they work. The main point is just that you have to give a justification for why there is a large discount, because that is just a question that is going to be prominent in your customer's mind before buying. We've just covered this, so the next thing is long shipping times. We're shipping from China in most cases, so there's going to be a shipping time of 12 to 30, in some cases even longer, to the US, and you want to be upfront about this. You don't want to hide this fact, because otherwise you're just going to get a bunch of refunds, unhappy customers, and it's going to be a general pain in the ass. So I usually display the shipping times on the actual product page. Now, of course, you don't want to say, we dropship from China, we buy this product for $1 and sell it to you for 20. You want to frame it in a better way. Again, this is all sales. One thing I often say is, because of high demand, we have to ship directly from our suppliers all over the world. For this reason, it can take up to 10 to 30 days to get to the US. Thank you for your understanding. This works because, first of all, you're being upfront, you're being honest. That builds some trust. And also, you say because of high demand, that gives some social proof. So other people are buying this. That's why it takes so long. This is another good one because people will find your shipping page. They will see that it takes 30 days and they'll wonder why. So you want to preemptively handle this objection. Again, we've already talked about consistency. You need to be congruent. You don't want to throw up any red flags. This leads into the common question, which is, should you tell people that shipping cost is $9.95 or whatever you charge if you're doing free plus shipping offers? In my opinion, yes, you should. You should say you must cover shipping on the product page. Whether you show the actual shipping amount or not is up to you. I do it sometimes, I don't do it others. But I always display prominently, so I don't hide this in the tiny little text at the bottom of the page. I'll usually have it in the actual headline, just cover shipping. So the reason I do this is because you want to build trust. You don't want to give people any reason to doubt you and to be skeptical, because you're already an unknown store. They're already skeptical of you. They're already worried about being ripped off. So don't throw up any red flags. And if your customer gets to the checkout page and they expected it to be free and suddenly there's $9.95 in shipping costs, then that is a big red flag. Next thing is, your product page should never contradict your advertisement. One common way people mess this up is they have a stock countdown bar on the product page, and that will say a random number of products left. So it might say 54 products left. And if your ad says there's only 18 left, then that's a contradiction and that'll throw people off. You definitely want to make sure that you set your countdown bar to a number that is below the number you say in your ad. Same thing if you're doing countdown timers. Same thing with the justification for the sale. So if your ad says it's a Christmas sale, your product page should not say this is a clearance sale because new inventory is coming. Be consistent in your sales funnel so that your customer has a congruent experience with your store. If you followed all of those steps, then you're on the right path to selling your products to customers. Final thing you have to do is ask them to buy. This is what we call the call to action. You always want to tell people exactly what you want them to do. Don't leave that to them to figure out. And if you're doing Shopify dropshipping, then the goal of your product page is to get sales. That has to be the only goal. So don't distract people with anything else. Don't have email pop-ups on the product page. Don't have social share buttons. Don't have email forms. Don't have anything except the add to cart button and your sales message. No distractions. And remember to end your product description with a strong call to action, telling people to buy and buy right now because there's only 18 left or because there's only a limited time where the offer is valid. One thing that a lot of people get wrong when they get into copywriting is they think all copywriting is long form sales letters. So I'm going to recommend a few resources later on where you can learn sales from. Those are great books, but they always focus on these long form sales letters. So 1,000 words, 2,000, 5,000 word sales pages. We're selling impulse purchasers. We're selling fairly cheap products. You don't need to write really long sales pages. Keep them short, keep them to the point. Make sure that you handle objections, make sure you have a few sales triggers, and make sure you have a strong call to action. All of this, or all of these steps, can be done in 1 to 2 sentences each. Some of them you don't even need to write any text. If you can do the same thing with a Shopify app, for example, the countdown bars and timers, or you can do the same thing with an image, like the credit card badges, then that is more powerful than words. So, how do you become good at selling online? Hopefully, after watching this rather long video, you know the importance of selling. So, now the question is how to learn this. This course can't go into enough depth. You should pick up a book or two. Here are the ones I recommend. Cashvertising is my absolute top recommendation. It's the best book I've read on copywriting. Here are a few other good ones that will teach you useful stuff, but there is of course a diminishing return, because Cashvertising covers things that are in triggers, and each further book you read will teach you a little less. Reading one book will have the biggest impact in terms of a return on your time invested. Next thing you want to do is you want to look at examples of good sales pages. That's why I've included my personal swipe file in the bonus section. I do this when I go on Facebook. I scroll through, I look at ads, I click on them, I look at the sales page, and if it's a good sales page, if it convinces me to consider the product, then I will save that link in my swipe file. You should start doing the same, but to get you started, I've given you my personal one. The next thing you can do is, as strange as it sounds, you can copy these sales pages out by hand. Get a pen and paper, copy them out word for word. It's very strange, but it really does work. It teaches you sales somehow. It improves the flow of your writing as well, and it also makes you really look at the sales pages deliberately and see why it works. Very effective. Highly recommend you do that a few times in your life when you're trying to learn copywriting. And of course, the final point, you need to practice. And luckily for you, if you're getting into Shopify dropshipping, you're going to be launching tons of products, and all of them need product pages, all of them need ads, so you're going to improve over time automatically. Of course, you also want to ask for feedback occasionally, so maybe go to the Facebook group that we've got connected to this course and ask people what they think of your ad or what they think of your product page. Finally, we've made it to the closing thoughts. This has been a very long section, and for good reason, because I really think learning sales is crucial to your success. And unfortunately, most Shopify dropshipping courses, they just skip over this entirely and don't teach you any sales basics. Of course, the most important point is to just be aware of this. Be aware that you need to learn sales. Know that selling is not evil, and that sales basically just boils down to increasing the perceived value of your product. You have to become good at selling if you want to make money online. Here on the right, I've got a short little testimonial by Nate Schmidt. He's one of the guys I've been helping with his own dropshipping store, and he made money very quickly. And the reason why is not just because he got lucky. In fact, I have noticed a real trend that the people who have a sales background, and Nate, he already knows copywriting, he already writes good emails, people like him, they become profitable with dropshipping very quickly, because setting up ads, setting up Shopify, the technical stuff is not hard, and there are step-by-step instructions that you can find via Google that teach you exactly how to do that. What you can't find on Google is how to write good copy for your specific product. That's what you have to figure out. That's your job as a Shopify dropshipper. And if you have a strong foundational understanding of sales, then you're the type of person who's going to make money in your first month dropshipping. So we've finally made it to the end of this very long section. Of course, it's only an introduction. Take it for what it's worth. Hopefully you've benefited from this, but each topic I've covered, it's only an overview. It only scratches the surface. So it's probably a good idea to take all these topics, look at call to actions, look at objections, and research each topic individually, or just pick up a book like Cashvertising that goes into far more detail for each of these topics. What we're going to cover next are the application of these specific sales tactics for dropshipping. So that I think will be very useful for you and a lot more practical than this general overview. Hopefully it now makes sense now that you have a basic understanding of how sales works. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.